building a hot rod from scratch.
On this episode of Barrett-Jackson Builds, we're fabricating some of the final pieces before paint, and we're fitting some of the new carbon fiber parts from BlackTech. Stay tuned, you're not going to want to miss this episode.
Well, we come to that point in the project of the 69 Camaro where really all I'm doing is handing you over parts. You know, at this point of this car, Dustin is really the only person that can shape it and make it what it needs to be. We've got a lot of rough pieces that have never lived together, and that's been a big goal for you, is trying to make everything happy together to get us started and out the door and get this thing a semblance of a whole car.
First, you got to gauge what you have. So you want to mock up whatever you have, see how it fits. Initially, what I like to do, the first step is chopping the mounts to get the bumper about where you need it. On the stock 69 bumper, it's more of an oval shape, kind of as it wraps around and sits on the outside of the quarter panel. We wanted to make it look obviously custom and, like I said, a little bit cleaner. So I opened it up to match the same height as the face. Going for the flush mount, we want real, specific gapping, real clean look. So cut into the quarter panels, make a pocket that's, a quarter-inch bigger. Then you cut out a template out of some chipboard. You just kind of play around with the template to see if it's gonna look good, kind of tape it up, mock it up, see if it's something you want to roll with or not. And then you go from the chipboard to actual steel. To get the rolls in certain things, I used an air hammer. I built up the edge with a little bit of just stock steel. We created a couple of pockets on the inside to hold in the nuts. So it's all flush mounted. You don't see any of the carriage bolts from the outside. You mock it up, weld it, take it off, clean it up on the inside, stick it back on, make sure it fits. The last thing that you want to do is get something all mocked up, have a ton of stress on it. Then once you blast it apart, then you go to put it back together for final assembly. It's tweaked and now it doesn't fit anymore.
We're checking in on our 69 Camaro build. So just catch you up, this we are building from scratch. So this body, a Dynacore body, came in. We've been fitting the body. We are adding carbon fiber components to it, which we still have to get this component here. So all the stripes on this car are gonna be in carbon fiber. We already have the LS sitting in it with 6-speed, but to make it fit right, Dustin made an extension to the tunnel and everything is fit. Now, the customization. Dustin, you want to walk us through sort of how you're fitting the bumper and what you're doing with the bumper here to give it a little bit different, cleaner look?
So we're tucking the ends in, pulling them into the body. I created obviously some pockets right here so it can sit flush mounted. On the back side, on this bottom half, open it up about an inch to bring down the body line. And open these up to make the reveal around the license plate look good and just gives it an overall real clean look.
So where's the filler gonna be, behind the license plate or you're leaving in the center? So originally on a 69 Camaro, it was
under the license plate.
Under the license plate, you had to pull the license plate down.
Yep.
So are you gonna put a different style cap on it?
This is the cap. So it's almost like a Harley, old school style, the push and release, flush mount.
So in the back, you're taking the trunk lock off, going electronic.
Yep.
What are you gonna do here on the doors?
Well, I was thinking as far as depending on the style that we go with obviously door handle and side mirror. If they have an option for something like that, we can go that route. However, I think we can, take a step back to the electronic stuff. Nowadays, they hardly fail. I don't think that we'll have any issues with entry. And if we have any kind of concerns about that, we can always have a pull safe or something outside of the vehicle to make sure that we can always get access to the inside.
You have a carbon fiber cowl, you have a carbon fiber. All the front components we're waiting on the hood. So that's the last component to really fit. We
have the whole obvious front end all squared up and everything else. However, before I finalize anything, do want to make sure it fits the hole. Yeah, and then as soon as that lands, we'll be moving along pretty quick, get into the paint shop. I welded that body seam solid just so there can't be any kind of flex in there, and then you won't get any cracking, and then lead over that. If you were to just put filler on it or something like that, or even a little bit of moisture gets in there over time or whatever it might be, you know, that lap joint is susceptible for expansion and movement. So when you weld it solid and you don't give it a chance to move at all, you're a lot better off. In '68, I believe, it was a federal mandate to have side markers on the front and the rear of the vehicle. So to kind of tie everything together with that rear filler neck and everything else, we shaved out, the side markers to make it look a little more like a '67. Plus it gives it the cleaner look with the rear bumper shade. Because all of the different aftermarket parts that we have, nothing's really consistent. We want a nice 3/16 gap all the way through. So you make sure the door is gonna sit where it's gonna sit, and then you make all your adjustments the best you can. And then if you have to add material or take material out, obviously that's the time to do it. It's very important to get everything assembled, fitted, prior to paint and body. The last thing you wanna do is have to repaint stuff.
Well, it finally arrived.
Oh yeah.
So is this mold release? Is that what's on here?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
cleaning off?
So the Black Tech specializes in carbon fiber, but this is the first hood they've ever produced for a '69 Camaro. So we got it fresh out of the batch because of the delay and trying to fit the front of our car. So here's what we have.
The last piece. So now we'll have our whole front all the way through the cowl. So all carbon, and the back. So did the back piece come in too?
Yeah, the drop between the rear deck and the rear glass.
Ah,
Yeah.
it's here.
Yep.
The stripes are over here, right?
Yeah, the design you have, yes. Yep. But more importantly is molding that carbon to that steel body.
Doesn't seem like a lot, but all of our brackets and our hinges for the trunk, everything kind of ties in right under there. So we're gonna take a different approach to it and actually drop that panel down about 1/8 of an inch and then
drop the
glue it
panel
right
in.
on top.
Okay. So then our stripes will come right up just over all the carbon in the rear.
Yeah.
And now that we have our hood, so do you want to fit the hood?
Yeah. Yep.
Everybody's fingers clear?
Yep. They are now.
Wow,
It's pretty close.
that's pretty darn close. Hey, good job.
Thank you.
You got
Your
your
work here's
hole
done, Dustin.
Yeah.
bolted in. We're done.
Going home for the
I
day.
like it when things go like that. That's gonna look awesome.
Oh yeah.
So Black Tech sent us their first cowl hood that they did for the Camaros. So you'll notice that the components underneath from Eddie Motorsports are all wrapped in tape, simply because they come powder coated and we're just trying to make sure that we don't have to repaint anything. I like to get everything fit without any stress under it. However, the latch can throw the hood left, right, back, forth. It definitely has, it can manipulate where the hood sits. So because it's a carbon fiber hood, it doesn't have a lot of weight to it. So the original hood spring throws that hood up once you release it, throws it right past that safety catch. So we had to take some of the spring tension out to make sure it'd still catch on that first one, once again, because of all the carbon fiber components up front. On that rear panel, I ended up actually dropping down the manufacturer one and then laying that carbon fiber panel over. I didn't want to get rid of any of the structural integrity because everything does tie into that, including the trunk hinges. So you got to get in underneath to where all the pinch welds are. You got to break all those pinch welds loose and then drop that actual panel itself down 1/8 of an inch. Then make sure that everything still lines up, weld everything back together, and set that panel in. And we epoxied the backside. I put a nice thin coat of panel bond on both panels and then mated them together. Getting it clamped down in all of the pinch points alongside with that strap that goes through the center is just ensuring that everything lays down nice, even and flat. Taped everything up to make sure I didn't get any kind of extra material on the carbon fiber itself. So the fitment of the trunk lid was a little tight in those top corners. So we just laid over some of the 3M sticky back paper essentially, but it prevents any kind of burns from welding or grinding or anything like that. So we had a stock grill shell, but we want to make it different than every other 69 Camaro on the road. So what I ended up doing is taking the grill housing itself, trimming out all the horizontal and lateral braces, and then making a new insert piece for it. Similar to the rear bumper, I created some pockets to give it that nice flush mount, that little streamlined look down the side of the car. And you get everything fitted, you get it where you want, and then it gives it a real clean look. Once we get everything fit and finished where we want it, we're moving it outside so we can finalize the metal work and do a little bit of leading as well as the body work. With leading and body work, there comes contaminants that we don't want to be breathing, so better to take it outside.
Because it is outside, we want to make sure that it's protected, so we're going to put an epoxy on that. Get it onto a rotisserie, flip that thing over, get the bottom prepped and ready for a Raptor liner. The Raptor liner is super durable, it protects against rock chips, etc. So we're going to seal the bottom up with that, flip it back over, get everything back taped and sealed up for our final primer.
So once we got the body work done and we got its first coat of primer, the next step was getting it on a rotisserie so we can clean up the bottom and get that finalized. Because we have a new powertrain under the vehicle, the manufacturer stamp doesn't really work as well. So what I ended up doing was making a new transmission tunnel so you can pull the motor and transmission out of the vehicle and get all the clearances that you need.
Thanks for watching this episode of our 1969 Camaro Custom Built. This project's getting ready to burn some rubber. Like and subscribe below to see all the Barrett-Jackson Builds episodes and more here on YouTube.